Alright, making a video. Well, hit the button anyway. What the hell? Okay, yeah, video on what subject? Yeah, so anyway, I just watched a Modern Mystic video. It was good on economics, actually, an economics video I didn't hate. We're just pointing out that the, rich men telling you about how great life would be if we were all libertarians, might be a trick. Yeah, it might be a trick. Anyway, yeah, it's worth pointing out. And it just gets you thinking about this whole society thing, this idea of living as a community or as a species, as human beings, like being human beings and having civilization. And there's so many people down on that idea. They don't want to be Roman anymore. They don't they don't want to be part of something. They don't want to be like go to the moon or something and say we did that. They want to do individual things and just be individuals or something like that. They're just very anti seeing the connection between the us's and the them's, and seeing that there's great advantage in doing things once right or doing things once collectively, instead of having a whole bunch of little independent bureaucracies. You just have one bureaucracy, that kind of idea. Huge efficiencies in not individualizing everything. And that gets me thinking about this whole individual thing and how this doesn't mean much. And that gets me back to the Modern Mystic, ironically, because Heroin Church posted a video of the Modern Mystic. I didn't even watch the clip. Something about this idea of, because I use the concept of reincarnation as a theme, as a way of understanding how your stake goes further than your own welfare, in the sense that you arrive on planet Earth from out there someplace. You just show up here. And that happens to everybody. Everybody just shows up here. Nobody has any kind of like, oh yeah, I know where I've been. Here's where, some theater tickets. I must have been at the theater, and then I came here. Yeah, we don't have any way of saying what is this? We just show up. And everything does that. Just shows up here. And it goes through the procedure of acquiring a personality and all this crap. And I'm not claiming any soul involved in any of this or any special anything. I'm just pointing out that we're made the same way. We're just made in different environments. So, we're all muffins. Maybe somebody's blueberry and somebody's chocolate chip and somebody's shitberry and whatever, but it's all the same goddamn thing. And if you look at it more elemental, you're just saying, yeah, you can reduce it to some pretty simple concepts of comfortable and uncomfortable. I mean, those are the easiest ones. How much time of an individual's existence is spent trying to get themselves out of some sort of dilemma of physical or psychological or whatever nastiness of some kind. So that's sort of the game we're in. And I just see no logical way to make distinctions between the functionality of these machines, these devices called people. They're all doing this. They're producing the same apples, so to speak. I mean, they really are. Adolf Hitler's toothache and your toothache are the same toothache. It's just, yes, you might feel them a little different. There might be something about it. So it's still a consciously unpleasant, nasty little state to be in, toothachery. And that's all that's happening, is toothachery is being created. It doesn't matter which machine is producing it. By that perspective, if you just take all this personal crap out of this and just recognize what is the product being produced, because that's where the value is, right? The product being produced is comfort, and discomfort. These are the things that are happening. These are the events that matter. And they're the only events that matter. There's comfort and discomfort. That's it. There's no other event happening that matters. And so we can just logically say that my brain shouldn't be invested in what this one single machine is doing, how much comfort or discomfort it's personally experiencing, because it's almost nothing in this sea of sentience, of conscious experience, of where it's all being produced. So I mean, if you think of them as apples and oranges, pain and suffering, it doesn't matter which one is which, and we're just producing apples and oranges. It doesn't matter who does the producing. It just doesn't. It just matters on how many apples per orange we're creating. What kind of what's it all add up to in the end when you put it all together? What's the product? And I think everybody can understand that. If you had a city that had a huge slum, and you could recognize that in a sense that you were, one half of your city was feeding off of these other half in some way, and that they were a terrible blight because it created crime, and that was inefficient, and then you had to have fences and moats, and you had to do all this stuff to fight and compete with these separate interests that were created and all this stuff. You could look at that and you could say that's just inefficient. We should fix that, because it's inefficient, because it's like the slavery argument. Your fancy dresses and your ballroom and your violin music are too expensive if they're at the price of people being whipped in the field. And so it's not worth it, and you have to make it less expensive. And so that's how our brain should be functioning. My brain should logically be saying, the future is much bigger than me. My vending machine will last this long, and the future is, could be very, very big. And it's going to have lots of vending machines in it, producing lots of apples and oranges. And I should do my best to, if I can do something now, to make those machines more efficient, to have them produce more comfort than discomfort, then why shouldn't I? I should obviously logically do that. If the value is in these things I'm calling feelings, I'm saying they're valuable as a person, from a very personal, visceral level. It seems quite obvious to me it's very important. I'm totally obsessed with what I'm feeling, pretty much. It's very important. Well, why isn't that very important? It's the same stuff. It's the same commodity. So, yeah, why shouldn't I look at the future and say, it might as well be me? What if it is me? Why aren't those valid statements of speculation or imagination to imagine that it is me? Why is there a prohibition against doing that? Why is that the wrong thing to do? It seems the perfectly sensible thing to do. The vast, larger percentage of the value will be produced in that future, not in this present, and certainly not just in my lifetime. So it only seems logical that my brain would be focused not on this one machine, but on that future of billions of machines. And the same in our perspective on our lives here. We should be figuring out how to do this in each other's interest, not in some other interest. There's only one interest. The interest is in apples and oranges. There's nothing else here. There's feelings and nothing else of value. The thoughts that generate your sensibilities is not what's important. It's what the sensibilities, it's what you feel that matters. That's your primary and maybe only function, is what you feel and what you produce in terms of feelings and other things. That's all there is It's the only value to be exchanged. So do I need to take this any further? Yes, it's just a statement of this, you know, essentially it's become a self-interest to not be self-interested. It's a self-interest to understand that you just got here. There's no difference between you getting here the way you got here and when somebody's going to show up in Africa or Indonesia or some other place in a horrible condition, in horrible circumstances, and are going to endure a horrible existence. There's nothing less real about that than what you're experiencing. And you have to be conscious of that you can't win if your existence is tied to that loss. Whatever apples you produce, whatever great ratio you personally have, apples to oranges, that ratio will be destroyed by the opposite ratio that you're allowing to exist. And that's another argument here, is who owns this machine? Who can take authority and say, I have an interest here, I have a right? And I'm going to argue that everybody has a right to claim some right to own what you're doing, because what you're doing implicates the value of what somebody else is doing. You're essentially undoing it. You're dirtying the glass that somebody else is cleaning, in a way. And because of this nature of this thing, where it isn't produced by consent and it isn't produced by any rational order, anyone can claim a right to say, my interest is in it being efficient enough, and it's not efficient enough, and something's got to be done to make it efficient enough. And I can't do it through my own behavior. I have to do it through the behavior of others, and that's just a fact. And so you really just can't win this game thinking, I'll just selfishly maximize my manipulations and exploitations, and that will be victory. Because your victory will be failure, because you aren't understanding what's valuable. And what's valuable isn't the you part of you. It's the basic function of you producing a quality of being, a state of being, comfort and discomfort, and that's it. So anyway, nothing incredibly vital. So anyway, working on some other shit. Really, I'm going to try to make some videos on the website, and I'm just going to try to do this step at a time kind of logical argument, like videos that are just trying to get to somebody, the level you need to get to have a conversation with somebody. You know, like the first step would be, yeah, there's no God, and then the second step is there's no intelligent design of any kind. Third step would be, you know, let's look at the design, and yet it fails all over the place. And the fourth step would be gee, why are you people defending this nonsense? Anyway, something like that. So any questions you want to post that would be useful in terms of trying to dissect somebody's perspective, trying to find, you know, what they think is so precious about the activity of the animated matter on Earth, might be helpful. So anyway, that's something else I'm working on. So might make fewer videos, might not. I don't know. I only made one yesterday, right? Yeah, one video. So anyway, how unusual. So till next time.